Hi everyone, for this video I'll be showing you how to do the skin fold measurements on a person. The 7 sites that we will be conducting the measurements on would be the triceps, subscapular, chest, mid-axillary, abdominal, suprailiac, and the thigh. The equipment needed for this assessment would be a caliper and a pen or a marker to be able to mark the skin for the sites. Before conducting the measurements, you want to make sure that the calipers are calibrated and is at 0 before starting. You always want to make sure that all the measurements are done on the right side of the body of the subject standing up straight. You also want to ask them to remove their shirts for males so that the measurements are done on the bare skin. For females, it is okay if they either can remove their tank top with just leaving their sports bras on, or if they feel more comfortable with just leaving their tank top on, is also fine as well. So let's begin. Before taking any measurements, make sure that you mark all of the sites on the subject's body with a pen or marker. The first site we'll be doing will be the triceps. The triceps site will be on the posterior of the upper arm, and the site mark will be the halfway point in between the acromion and the olecranon process of the arm. You also want to make sure that the subject's arm is held freely at their side of the body. The second site that we'll be doing will be the subscapular area. The site mark should be about 1 to 2 centimeters away from the inferior of the angle. If you have a hard time finding the inferior angle of the scalpel, just ask the subject to bring their arm in their back of their bodies, towards the back of their body. The next site that we'll be doing will be the chest or the pectoral site. This mark will be, for males, will be the halfway point between the anterior axillary line and the nipple for the men. For women though, it'll be 1/3 of the distance between the anterior axillary line and the nipple. The next site we'll be doing would be the abdominal. The abdominal mark site you'll want to take would be 2 centimeters to the right of the umbilicus. For the suprailiac site, you'll want to mark the site right above the natural line of the suprailiac crest, right above it. If you do have any trouble finding that angle, ask the subject to point it out for you. For the mid-axillary site, make sure you place the marker on the mid-axillary line, which is also level with the xiphoid process of the subject. Once you find the xiphoid process of the sternum of the subject, go ahead and move it all the way to the mid-axillary line to place the site. The next site will be the thigh. Now, just like the triceps, the thigh will be the halfway mark in between the inguinal crease of the hip and the border of the patella. After properly marking all the sites on the subject's body, the next step will be taking the skin fold measurements with the caliper. The first measurement that we'll be doing will be taking the measurement of the tricep. Now, when pinching the tricep, you want to make sure that it is done at a vertical fold. When placing the calipers, you also want to make sure that it is done on the skin of the surface, not pinching any fat or muscle tissue of the subject. You also want to make sure that when taking the measurements of each site that you wait 1 to 2 seconds before reading the caliper. The next site will be the subscapular site. This measurement should be done at a diagonal fold. For women, this site may be a little bit tricky to get to because their sports bra might be in the way. So in measuring on women, just make sure you pull the sports bra down enough to where you're able to take that measurement. For the chest or pectoral site, this measurement will also be done at a diagonal fold. When measuring the abdominal area, the abdominal fold will be taken at a vertical fold. When taking the measurement for the suprailiac, this measurement will also be done at a diagonal fold superior of the iliac crest. When measuring the mid-axillary site, this will be done at a vertical fold. You should also ask your subject to bring their arm off to the side of them when measuring this site. For women, you might also need to ask them to raise up their sports bra because their sports bra might be at the same level of the site that you're trying to measure. The last site that we'll be taking will be the thigh. This fold should be done at a vertical fold on the thigh. You want to make sure that you take at least 3 measurements of each site. You should retest the measurements if they are not within 1 to 2 millimeters of each other, and you should also rotate between each site to allow the skin to go back to normal. Here are some helpful formulas to determine the body density for both men and women and to determine their body composition. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you all enjoyed it.